All right, hello there, thrill seekers, and I am here in Hebden Bridge, England, in the green and pleasant hills and valleys of merry old England, and I am at the end of my European tour. I'm not going to put up the dates or contact info because it's too late. Today starts the very last of my European events, and it's too late to sign up for any of it, so no point in putting up the contact info. But I thought I'd mention something here before I get started with today's video. The reason I am here in Europe doing these events and not doing events in the United States is because none of the events that I have been doing in Europe this past month have required any of the people who attend them to produce any sort of medical paperwork in order to attend the events and sit with me and hear me speak and discuss Zen and other stuff. Whereas I was invited to 3 places in the United States, to the Houston Zen Center, to the Austin Zen Center, and to the Southern Dharma Retreat Center, to do similar events, but they all required people who attended those events to produce medical paperwork in order to come and sit with me and hear me speak. And I felt that I could not accept those invitations because I didn't want people to have to produce medical paperwork in order to sit with me and hear me speak. This is also the reason that I left the Angel City Zen Center, the Zen Center that I started in Los Angeles many years ago, because they wanted to hold a retreat that required people to produce medical paperwork in order to attend the retreat, and I didn't want to lead a retreat that required people to produce medical paperwork in order to attend the retreat. And basically, because I've taken this stance, I've become kind of persona non grata, an unwanted person in the world of Zen in America. And there's a lot of Zen places that I can no longer go to in the United States of America, including the San Francisco Zen Center, the Houston Zen Center, the Austin Zen Center, the Milwaukee Zen Center, the Upaya Zen Center, the Ancient Dragon Zen Gate, the Chicago Zen Meditation Community, and many others are places, some of which I've visited, that I can no longer go to because they require you to show medical paperwork in order to go to the places. And I don't agree that this is necessary. So I don't want to speak at these places, but I would very much like to sit with and speak to Americans, because I am an American and I live in America, about Zen and other stuff, and I would like to sit Zazen with you. So what I'm thinking of is doing what the kids call a living room tour, in which I would go to sort of improvised venues, which could be actual living rooms in people's houses or garages or backyards or, I don't know, record stores, bookstores, libraries, any sort of a space that could accommodate a few people who want to sit a little while and have a discussion about Zen. So if you are interested in that, I will put an email address at the very end of this video, like I put at the very end of every video, and you can write to me and express your interest in this. But remember that it's not just a space that I need, I'm not independently wealthy. So it's not just a space that I need. If you want to have me come to, let's say, Norfolk, Virginia, and talk to some folks, I'd love to do that, but we have to think about how to pay my way from Upland, California to Norfolk, Virginia, for example. So we have to think about that. So it's all very well and good if you've got a living room for me to come to, but we also have to figure out the logistics of it. So, if you're serious about it, write to me and we'll talk about it. Also, I'll be pretty wiped out when I get back to the U.S. Next Wednesday is when I get back, I think. So it won't happen right away. It'll it'll take some time for this to all come together. But I wanted to let you know about my sort of tentative plans to do that in the nearish future. So, on to the video offering I have for you today. This comes from a place called Kogetsu-an, which is near Bonn, Germany, and it's my friend Patrick and his girlfriend, partner, Johanna's place near Bonn, Germany, and it is a talk I gave there in which I spontaneously said something I thought was kind of interesting about my relationship with Dogen. And this is something that came up, as I said, spontaneously in response to a question about interpreting ancient texts. And it's the kind of thing that I probably wouldn't have thought of on my own. It came up, as I say, in response to a question, and I thought it was kind of interesting, but it's kind of short. So I kind of let the video play on, and you'll see I just answer a couple of other questions that are sort of interesting. But it's the stuff that comes up right at the beginning of this video that I wanted to share with you, because that's what I thought was real thought-provoking. So maybe you'll like it. I don't know. And the stuff at the end happens to be about owls, the bird, owls, in case you can't understand what they're saying. So that's what they're saying. So we'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Oh, and by the way, I am still supported by your donations, so if you want to donate, go to the URL you are seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find my PayPal and Patreon links. Those are my main and usually only ways of making a living. I have been paid for most of the events I've done on my tour of Europe, but still my main means of support are your donations. So thank you for those donations, and we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Now take it away, me in Kogetsu-an a couple of weeks ago. Here we go. See you later. Bye.
I believe that these are just interpretations of old texts, and each interpretation or translation is an interpretation, and each culture has a different, the source culture is different than the target culture, and so I wonder if you ever will get an explanation of these words. I mean, the heart or the soul of these old texts we will never find out, I believe. So I don't know if we really can handle or deal with these texts as earnest as just like the words, how earnest we can take these words, in our language. Then.
Yeah, you can't really. When I've been working with Dogen's old writings and then trying to put them into English and in a way that's understandable to people, these days, I think, well, there's all sorts of people trying to tell you what Dogen meant. And there are a lot of passages where I come across in Dogen where I feel like, okay, I think I know what he's saying here. And then there's some other sentences where I'm just going, I don't know what this is. I don't know at all, I'll come across a whole sentence where I'm just like, yep, I don't know what that is. And I can't ask him. I can't just go back and ask him. And even if I could ask him, just asking him the question would be a nightmare, because I can speak Japanese, but I can speak 21st century Japanese. I would have to try to, reinterpret my 21st century Japanese, which is not even that great, into, 12th century Japanese, and try to figure out how we could communicate that way, and it would just be, garbled, even if I could by some kind of magic meet him and ask him, which is impossible, but so yeah, it's lost, but at the same time, and this is where the thing gets very spooky, Dogen and I are two aspects of that one mind that we're talking about here. So it's not that Dogen is a different person from me, it's Dogen is this distant aspect of myself that I'm looking at, going, I knew something then, and I want to see what it was. This sort of lost thing, and see if I can draw it out. And I think here's this guy who 800 years ago devoted his life to trying to preserve something of his understanding, and he wanted it to. He wanted to give it to future generations, whoever they might be. Not knowing, he could only use the material that was available to him, which was the language that he had and the culture that he had. And so he put it down as best he could, and then I'm going to come along and try to see if I can bring it out of that. So I'm not trying to find something ancient. I'm trying to find something that exists throughout time, that goes beyond time and space, that unites both Dogen and me and everyone through that, through this. I don't know if there's even a medium. It might be instantaneous communication that doesn't even partake of time and space at all, which is, and I'm weird enough to believe that's possible. Maybe that sounds crazy, but I have this belief that there is this something that just ignores time and space entirely, and exists in a way that time and space is just a kind of an interpretation of reality that we happen to be kind of burdened with in our current form, but that it might not be the ultimate thing. The time and space is kind of an illusion. As now I'm making an American reference. I think it was Doug Henning. Was it Doug Henning? You don't know. Now I'm making a reference that only I understand. This magician who I used to see on TV who would be like, "It's an illusion," and he had a big mustache, long hair.
Like the pain. Like the pain.
Who?
The pain the disciple felt when he went up the hill, or the pain.
Oh, the pain. Yeah. Well, the pain. Yeah. Well, that's Gensha's way, and that koan has always, ever since I first heard it, I thought, oh, that one's trying to tell me something, and I read it again and again and again and again. I don't know how many times I've read that one, and it's one that I bring to talks. I've already used it twice, I think, in this tour through Europe, and I've I don't know how many times I've used it in my career of talking about Zen, but it's one that speaks to me, and it's one I don't know if I fully understand, but yet he stubs his toe on that rock and he says, body and mind are an illusion. Where does this pain come from? So something is happening. So body and mind are an illusion. Where does this taste of chocolate come from? If you're going to go back to that example I used before. There's some sort of an experience here. Something real is going on. And maybe that's been my question all along. I was aware, even as a child, like something's going on here. And a lot of people think they know what it is, and they act like they know what it is. But I don't think they know what it is. And when I ask them to explain it, they give me their explanations, and I go, well, yeah, you've explained something about it, but I don't think that's what it is.
Yes, I have to laugh because you said it's been I think it's the question of all of us. What are we doing here? And, what is going on here? And nobody has an answer, but there are people who pretend to have an answer, but yeah, sometimes it's really ridiculous to listen to their explanation. And maybe the way we try to explain what mind is even ridiculous as trying to explain what God is.
Yeah.
And I remembered when I was at school, and we have to interpret to a poem.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I found it quite strange because the poem itself, without explanation, could better explain what it, for me, what it meant. And when I tried to explain it, there was a distance to the poem.
Yeah.
The more I tried to explain it, the further I moved away from the poem.
Yeah.
And so sorry. That's why
no, that's good. That's really good. I mean, that's kind of life. That's kind of what the Buddhists keep saying. That's kind of the more you try to explain life, you get further from it. I just came across reading something about this. Some historian who was trying to understand Buddhist history without referencing literature, but only referencing art. Because he said literature is not reliable, but the artwork is reliable. Yeah. And I thought that's an interesting way to do it.
Music. Art and music. I think when you try to describe something by words, you really can't get the thing.
But then artwork is also, I love this TV show Ancient Aliens that they show on the History Channel, and they're always like looking at some ancient artwork and going, well, this is obviously a depiction of an alien, but you don't know, what this thing that they drew 10,000 years ago in Africa, why did they draw it like that? I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be an alien, but maybe it represents something else. So so that it gets very interesting. You don't know what somebody's trying to say, but sometimes it's nothing at all. Sometimes it's just like, look at this, here's that thing. I like this Buddha. He's like a baby Buddha. Speaking of representation, because he's got like a big head.
Yes.
He's like they used to have these characters, because I worked in a company that made Japanese monsters, and they were called deforme, from deformed. But they would be like these, they'd make the Japanese monsters, but they'd make them more cute and babyish, with the big head and stuff. That kind of looks like one of those.
It's also an alien.
They would take like Godzilla and make him like with a big head and kind of almost babyish features and make him cute, and that would be like deforme Godzilla, whatever. He's very cute.
Ich würde gerne eine Frage stellen, aber ich traue mich nicht, weil ich kein Englisch kann oder nicht so gut.
Ich auch nicht so gut.
Kann jemand meine Frage übersetzen? Ja? Also erstens, vielen Dank.
Many thanks, he says.
Ja, thank you very much. First, ich hätte vielleicht nicht kommen sollen, weil ich habe nur die Hälfte verstanden oder wenn überhaupt nur einige Wörter.
he thinks he should perhaps not have come because he just understood a few words.
Ich bin aber nicht sicher, ob ich das überhaupt auch in Deutsch verstanden hätte.
He might not have understood it in German.
Okay. Meine Frage ist relativ einfach. Denkst du, dass man auch ein Zen-Buddhist sein kann, ohne sich mit dem Thema Geist oder Dogen oder mit den Schriften zu beschäftigen?
Do you think one could be a Zen Buddhist without taking care of mind and Dogen's writings and so forth?
Literature.
Could you also
Oh, yeah. Yes. Ja.
Ja, ja. Gut, vielen Dank. Ich bin beruhigt, vielen Dank.
I mean, I think practice is the most important.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most of this other stuff is just kind of
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by obsolete.
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's real.
It's a cow.
That's real.
What is that?
It's real.
Cows.
Small owl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Translation, yeah. Well, cows.
Small
Ein Auge.